Okay. So, good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to welcome you all to our 35th edition of this Sunday webinar. Today, we have an excellent topic for fireside chat: how artificial intelligence and intelligent systems are reshaping the practice of project, program, and portfolio management inside the mind of an AI founder. Strategy, scale, and the AI wave is louder than ever. Every capable technologist and entrepreneur is racing to build models and launch AI-driven solutions. But beyond the excitement and noise, every successful AI venture is shaped by clarity of thought, conviction in decisions, and hard-earned lessons that few truly see. With this perspective, AI Agile Synergy brings you an exclusive fireside chat with industry veteran Angshuman Bhattacharya, who will share real-world insights and the unwritten playbook behind building and scaling a successful AI venture. So what we are going to explore today, we have certain themes. First of all, the mindset shift. What fundamentally changes solving problems to owning them end-to-end? The origin story. What gap led to creation of SIBIA Analytics and Consulting Services, and what others fail to see? Strategy in the AI economy. In a world full of noise, how do you identify signal, what to build, and more importantly, what not to build? Scaling and acquisition. Building is one thing, scaling is a different thing. What breaks first when an AI business starts growing? And last but not the least, survival and reality check. One that outsiders rarely understand. Now, let me take this opportunity to introduce everybody, our speaker for this session, Angshuman Bhattacharya. We call him Angshu, head of AI Solutions, Adani AI Labs. Angshuman Bhattacharya is a seasoned AI/ML entrepreneur and professional with 2 decades of success. He founded SIBIA Analytics, which was acquired by Adani Group in December 2022. Angshu has deep experience consulting Fortune 200 and top APAC enterprises, and he pioneered ML adoption for SMBs globally. He is an avid technology enthusiast focused on leveraging advanced AI/ML to drive client success. Angshu advocates for using AI/ML to increase the consumption, to generate real-time, actionable insights for greater global efficiency. He is a generative AI adoption champion and advocates ethical and responsible AI development. Welcome, Angshu. Now, it also gives me immense pleasure to introduce the moderator of today's session, 𝗵𝗵 Chatterjee. 𝗵𝗵 is the founder of 𝗫2 Advisory, where he helps institutions and industry leaders choose signals over noise in the rapidly evolving AI landscape. A strong proponent of open source ecosystems and ethical innovation, he also served as the National Training Evaluator for Smart India Hackathon 2025, contributing to the identification and mentorship of emerging technical talent across India. With over 17 years of experience across global multinational corporations, 𝗵𝗵 has built a career at the intersection of technology, collaboration, and strategic storytelling. He has consistently partnered with cross-functional teams to deliver high-impact initiatives where customers value, measure ROI, and long-term sustainability remain central to decision-making. So welcome, 𝗵𝗵, and over to you.
Thank you, Shubhra, for such a warm introduction. Okay, I would like to start by saying that after second number 2025, it is my great opportunity to work with 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗆 and AI Agile Synergy as the moderator. Last time I was interviewed by 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗆. This time I have the opportunity to turn a moderator. This is not about me today, but it is about Angshuman. So without much ado, I would like to go straight to Angshuman to help us to understand how we are going to navigate this world in the AI era. So I mean, rather than just asking that what you do, what you have done, and so on and so forth, Angshuman, let us start with how you think. I mean, since you have created such a brand like SIBIA, and then Adani chose to acquire it, uh, let us understand what goes in the mind of a founder right from scratch. Over to you.
You're on mute, Angshuman.
Hello everyone, good morning, and thank you very much for inviting me in this fireside chat. It's an honor to talk to all of you and express my views and experiences, of course, in this. So, Pritam, to start with, what goes inside the mind of an entrepreneur? Uh, let me start with a story. It was the year 2004. I was just shifting to the world of analytics or data science or whatever we call today as AI or the precursors of AI. And I was interviewing in one of the very large MNC companies for their India office. And one of the questions in the maybe in the final round when I was talking to probably the chief operating officer, and he asked, "Where do you see yourself 5 years down the line?" I did not really hesitate and said that 5 years down the line, I would like to have my own company. So I believe that somehow this idea of starting up, building a brand, building a company was there in my mind. Now, it didn't happen in 5 years. If I'm talking at 2004, and I actually started the company in 2014, that means the 5 years were 10 years. But I was not really hurried that I'm late or I'm late in the game or starting much later. So, this did not occur. I was looking for the right opportunity, right time to come. In the meantime, in these 10 years, I had the fortune of working with various top companies, both in the analytics, specialist analytics companies or companies like top IT services companies who are building or trying to build their AI practices. I'm very fortunate that in the two large, very large top five companies I work for, we could build a really sizable analytics business there, which actually now you can see that they probably have thousands of people on those practices, but the seed was created by us, a few initial folks who joined during 2007, 2009. So that was a very happy moment for me. Now, what happened in this journey? Like any other, I am an economics postgraduate with econometrics in specialization, which you can say my entry ticket to the world of modeling and analysis, etc. People who are not very familiar with the word econometrics, I'm sure you all heard the word regression modeling, various kind of regressions. So econometrics is the study of various kinds of regression, to put it very simply. We talk about maybe linear regression or sometimes logistic regression. If you study econometrics, you'll find 20 types of regressions. It's just that it's not as popular in the field. Anyway, so that was my entry ticket. And like any other, I was also an hands-on modeler, as we call ourselves, building models, analyzing data, presenting to the clients, and all these. But it so happened that in my teams with Cognizant and later with Wipro, I became more of a client-facing person who is not only solving a technical data problem or building a model, also helping navigate the client to identify the right solution and how to implement that. And later part of the story was that I'm also part of the business development, trying to get new clients, doing POCs for them, understanding their problem, providing them solutions, sometimes across the table in the meeting itself. And that's how I would say that I have grew in the industry for 10 years. Now, when it comes to the mind shift, what I believe is that the moment you realize that you are not only a modeler, but you are owning the problem end to end. You are just not solving a technical problem, but you are actually building value to a client's organization. That is probably the moment of truth when you understand that you are different from the others and you are going to build an enterprise. Not necessarily that you have to start your own company, you can be part of the larger organization and build insight there. There are a lot of entrepreneurs. If I look at today, all the large businesses that have been built in the, especially in the IT field, is because some of those technologists at some point of time thought that I'll not restrict myself only to solving a tech problem or building a software, but I'll go the whole 9 years to build the value for the client, which is beyond the software, beyond the user interface. So that is the real mind shift, that you realize that solving a technical problem is only a piece of the puzzle. Completing the business landscape and how the business would generate value, understanding of that and communicating that, telling that story to the business is where the strategic mind shift is.
Thank you. Thank you, Angshuman. If I may ask you, like taking a cue of your previous response, like when if you just look back and again throughout what are the 2-3 principles you have seen that made your decision making hit the bullseye? Because most of the times, I mean, we learn. I mean, like once you are in a startup, we all understand that it is not the hunky dory story from day one, but in a consistent line of 10, 15, 20 odd years, how the transition needs to take place. I mean, if you were to tell today's aspiring entrepreneurs how to scale it up without losing the passion for it, what are the 2-3 principles you would like to hit upon?
Uh, See, the first thing one need to understand is that what is the real pain the customer is facing and how technology can solve the problem. Okay, see, the technologies will keep coming. We started with fundamentals of econometrics and regressions, building models, classical linear models, or the logistic regression models, etc. It has then, you know, to machine learning models, which became a little more black box, like decision trees and other clustering, unsupervised as they call it. Those methodologies started coming in. And then further, more complicated models started coming. And then we have even more complicated AI-based models. Okay. But if we look at the customer's fundamental problem did not change. 20 years ago, I was building demand forecasting models for a retailer, that how across all his stores and across all his products, how he can predict the sales of each item for the next 10 weeks or 13 weeks. The problem still remains today. Only my way of solving the problem with the growth of technology, with the advancement of technology, only it has changed. I have now access to more data. I have access to weather data. I have access to calendar data. I have access to maybe many other data. And more importantly, I have access to very good, well-trained models. Right. The fundamental problem remains same. So it is not about, I don't think any entrepreneurship, be it in the tech world or be it in anywhere, it's about the product or about the technology. It's always about solving the customer's pain. If you understand the pain and provide a solution, irrespective of what technology you are using, you will gain customers' mindshare. That's the first thing every entrepreneur must look at, that they are solving a real customer pain and they are not overtly ambitious or overtly jubilant about the technology they are using. So that's the first principle I have learned. Honestly, nobody really cares about what your technology is. You can solve the problem with a if it was I mean, a lot of good softwares are actually nothing but a series of if else conditions. And this works perfectly in many cases, right? So identify the real customer pain and then provide the solution. This is first. Second thing one need to understand is that, and I just spoken about that, is that it's not only solving that problem itself, but how you integrate that solution into the larger business landscape. Simply putting, how you put that in a simpler workflow, in the business workflow, where it fits, what it takes as inputs, where it gives us outputs. Are those inputs available regularly to you? Are those outputs to be used by the client? If these conditions are not satisfied, your product will be a standalone marvel and will not be able to penetrate the business landscape. So this is the second point, and I think these are the things you need to understand as a or like practice as an entrepreneur. And then also you should understand the business or the overall landscape. I mean, I believe that at least in the world of AI, there are a lot of trends come, and some trends do not really sustain. Uh, I'm not talking about the current AI, and my belief is that the current wave of AI after the generative AI, it's transformative. It is going to transform the whole world, and it already did in many parts, and it will do for the rest of the world for sure, and across phases of life, across walks of life and businesses. However, you will see certain trends which come and go. And I can tell from my experience, if I look at this journey of 20 odd years in the area of AI, analytics, data science, etc., many has come and gone. Like at one point of time, a lot of people were talking about the Bayesian modeling, Bayesian regression. I mean, it's I'm going a bit technical, but nobody really talks about that anymore. There was another almost transformative uh, technology came during, say, 2009, 10, 11, 12. We called it big data. But do you really see someone talking about big data today? Either it has been internalized or it has already was there and already the current systems have it. So nobody really talks of big data. Nobody has a big data expert anymore. And during that time, I remember that wherever I'm going, US and Europe, many places, everybody is talking. Everything is big data. You're building a simple model is a big data. You are creating a data pipeline that is a big data. So I think a good entrepreneur will identify what is a real trend and what is a noise. Identifying that is very important. And then play on the trend and not on the noise. That is the learning you have to think. Like again, the big data example. So many big data companies came. So many companies, edu companies has came. EdTech companies came with big data as their courses, and those courses are there is no takers for those courses, right? Uh, and finally, the other point I would like to focus, ask, or rather, every entrepreneur, budding entrepreneur, young guys who are starting up, and they should think about is how to say no on many things. Uh, if you see that a client ask is not really your expertise or doesn't really go with your product vision, politely say no. If you see a team member coming with a lot of expectation and bargaining before he joins, my principle is to say no. Okay. Even if I satisfy her demands now, I'll not be able to satisfy her demand after 3 months. And as a startup, you have limited resources. So, and what you do and what you not to do is a very important decision. To these are survival strategies to keep afloat. These are important, and I'm sure every business goes through a phase, at least in the initial years, which is basically survival, basically staying afloat. So, practicing saying no is very important during that phase. I just my personal experience.
Thank you, Angshuman. Being an entrepreneur myself, I can feel what you have been through, and what you are saying is absolutely reflecting in my own life to stay afloat. Okay, for the larger audience and taking it as a kind of a masterclass, if I may ask you, like, what was that point where you thought of switching from the top-notch multinationals to owning, or rather building your own SIBIA Analytics?
No, good things. Good question. Very good question. A very close question to my heart. Uh, and it's not an answer now. I have seen probably just after starting or during the time of starting. Uh, as I said, that I had this idea of building a company of my own, building a brand of my own from very early in my career. But the real switch that I made during 2014 uh, was mostly about certain technological breakthrough. Let me give you a context background to that. I was working, and during that time, I was already there in the industry for overall for 14 years, specifically in this AI analytics data science industry for about 12 years, 10, 12 years. And I was working mostly for top, so the only Fortune 200 clients, no clients was beyond that. I work for top brands in the world. Very few people who have worked for both Pepsi and Coke, uh, like that, right? But end of the day, I was seeing that I am solving problems only for the very large multinationals, but there's a huge number of companies which are mid-market, SMBs, say Fortune 200 to Fortune 1000. If I look at the US market, uh, they are not really using the power of data. I look at our country, and we have very large companies. They are flourishing across. Uh, say if you talked about the top FMCG retail companies, top banks in India, barring a few, almost nobody was using analytics regularly in their business. So question came to me why they are not using this. But it's not that they are not knowledgeable. There are smart people inside the companies. They definitely know the latest tech thing, uh, but still they are not using. And then I started probing, and I identified that there was three major barriers to try with analytics. Number one was that it was a time when analytics was driven or delivered by delivered by commercial softwares. And there was one major commercial software by the name SAS, which was the de facto software for all the analytics work across the world. I mean, there could be a very distant two and another distant third, but SAS was the de facto one. But again, the SAS was prohibitively expensive for many of the companies who wanted to start small. Number one. Number two, if you know that all these data analytics, modeling, etc., requires a large amount of data, and not only that, large amount of computing, because every modeling is end of the day is a nothing but a matrix inverse. And inverting a matrix of, say, you have 1 million rows and uh, thousands of columns requires a huge computing. That computing was not available, and if you really have to buy a server, again, it's a prohibitively costly. Now, these two, I believe, was a major two barrier of experimenting with AI during those days. But at the same time, during that time, three major inventions, technological breakthroughs have happened. One, I consider this as a cloud technology, which is again like today's AI is a pervasive, transformative uh, technology which swept the world, and it's still relevant. Not only relevant, it is a de facto. Today, anyone talking about a setup, it has to be a cloud setup, right? So it became the de facto. So cloud technology was nascent during that time. Only AWS was available privately. GCP was not there. Azure was just coming, but cloud was there. Second, uh, up beyond these commercial softwares, a number of uh, open source softwares became popular in the world of AI. There are open source softwares are always there, and they were matured. But the maturity for industry for a commercial usage of in the analytics field did came actually in 2005-6 during that year. with a software called R, capital R. Later, Python, of course, taken up, but R became. So this is second, and third, I already spoken about big data technology. Now, it helped a lot of who are not really deep into technological database, they still can manage large data using some big data technologies. I also, played my hand with some big data technologies like MapReduce, etc. So it gave me an idea that using these three technical tools, I can create a delivery model which number one will be only OpEx driven. So you don't really have to invest a lot or invest at all. And second, the overall cost of ownership would be less to start with, right? And more importantly, these are easily accessible technologies which maybe many companies would be agreeing to adopt. So these, you can say that these kind of a light bulb moment, that using these three, I created a solution model and can be easily implementable. So that, you can say, is the moment of truth that I found that, okay, now I can approach to those companies who have not been trying to, or who have not been experimenting with AI, but they have an appetite of building something with AI. Okay, like, this is quite common that they already have this idea, but it's just that they do not know how to start that. So this actually worked. If I look back in my journey of SIBIA Analytics, we actually spent a lot of time initially to kind of, educating many of the clients, like how you can really experiment with AI. And if you fail, then also there is not much of a cost. You can come out clean. Okay. Uh, and then gradually they started adopting that. And then some of them, many of them actually partnered with us. And I proudly say that we are pioneer in experimenting AI or building the first AI model of many of the top companies in India. Their first AI project was delivered by us, or in partnership with us.
Excellent. So the most intriguing question for each of the current technology giants or even budding entrepreneurs is simple. It's the same thing, same story everywhere. That how do you suggest that to start with? There are a lot of tons of companies which are showcasing AI. Drops are happening every weekend, right? So, how the companies can think of choosing a particular model, or rather cherry picking one, so that it doesn't remain as a POC and it can be scaled up, because most of the times it is stopping at the POC level and people are struggling back again, going back to the old school. So,
No, you
your
are
thoughts,
right.
please,
Like,
on
there
that.
was a Harvard University study which says that 95% of the Gen AI models are Gen AI POCs do not scale. I think recently there was an MIT study also which saying that overall 80% of the models do not scale. Which are true, and this is nothing new, right? Even when we started working, uh, we have also seen that many of the projects we start, they deliver good value uh, during the POC, but they really are not uh, skilled, or became a practice or business as usual in any of the enterprises. What goes wrong? And I don't think this has anything to do with models. Okay, the quality of the model you are testing during the POC itself. You work with multiple models, you find which model works good for you, how the you know how you can move needles using that model. All everything is established during the POC. So it's not about the model. It's again, as I told earlier, it's about how you're integrating that POC into the business. Okay, in the
So,
business workflow. And
is it
one important thing that I started looking, and this is what working in my current company Adani, after the acquisition of the SIBIA Analytics by Adani. Uh, it's very important not to build a model and deploy and leave it up to the users. But it's also equally important that after the deployment or going into production, how you are monitoring the adoption of the model, how you are measuring the value the model is delivering or the project is delivering, and how you are ensuring that your adoption remains stable, if not growing, and you are increasingly gaining value every month, every quarter, every year. So measuring that is absolutely important, right? So what we do is that we release a model, we identify who are the business users, we put our scripts in the the project, maybe the simple GA Google Analytics scripts or something else. We build a pipeline of tracking the usage log, and from there we infer whether the usage is going up, going down. If it is going down, why? And any training is needed. So, you know, ensuring adoption is the key to success. Second is that not only adoption, is it generating a value? So I speak about, say, a simple model of collection, any financial transaction collections, right? It's a very important aspect of any BFSI company that where you are getting to collect, and a lot of people actually default. And what happens after the default? It goes to the collection process. You build a model which tells that out of these 100,000 people who are defaulting, these are the top 10,000 people you are going to collect. They are more likely to collect from. You build a model, then the model runs, then the call center or the business process runs after those 10,000 people, and then they collect. Now, it so happened that after running this process with the model for 6 months, you see that your collection did not improve. Then the business is not going to use that. So that is another challenge. So that is what we call the value quantification. That, okay, I told you that these 10,000 people are most likely to collect. 8,000 you actually could collect, and you collected in X amount of dollars. You have to establish that truth along with the model. That is the success. Until and unless you establish the success, your models will not be adopted. Will not be used. Initially, there will be euphoria, great thing, AI, we have built an AI and all this, but until and unless business is seeing value, the POCs will not be successful. So this again nothing to do with the model, but how you integrating that in the business, how you are fine-tuning the model, updating the model, refreshing the model, recalibrating the model during the production phase. Then only your project will be valuable. And the next question comes, and I have seen in my experience is that lot of business ask, they don't have a direct confidence on the model or the prediction you have built. You have told that this person is a person from who you can collect. Okay, fine, but the front-end business person, if he does not understand why I have picked this client, he will be hesitating to go after him. But if I aid him with certain maybe some explainability. This person do not have any other trait called default. This person has recently got promoted or got a job. His income has increased. This kind of cue, if provided, then the person who is really working on collection, he will be more confident to go after. Or say you are telling a sales representative who is visiting retail stores to sell this pack of coffee. And if you do not give him the right cue that, okay, this store already exhausted 90% of their coffee stock, the winter is coming, all the retailers in the area are buying coffee, so he also will be buying coffee. If I cannot give this kind of cue, the sales representative will not have much of talking point to the retail store owner and sell the product. So it's not only the prediction, but how you are supporting the prediction with certain common stories, common truth, which the business person, the actual worker can understand. That actually, that is where I believe the story lies. That is why increasingly we are seeing that business adoptions are also asking about explainability of the model, how a model, how a prediction can be explained. So these are, I believe, are the drivers of a success of a POC, or rather, the way I call it, from a POC to the limited rollout to the universal rollout. If you have to traverse this path, you can't really only talk about the model, but you have to talk about the usage of the model, adoption of the model, the value it is generating, and the and how you are making the business user confident about the model through the explainability. These are the more important drivers.
Excellent. In other words, basically what you're saying is that it is not about, because modeling and how to build it is more technical. But when it comes to the business user, he is more interested to know how it will help him solve his pain points and how to calibrate it in his scaling up his own business. And at the same time, like for example, if one can provide post go live or post production support to the client, hand holding, and then giving, I mean, even better to give a playbook so that he can also pass on to his end users. That's where the story actually has a good
Absolutely. I like the
journey.
word playbook. If you really give a playbook to the business user, that's how the model works, that's how the model plays in the market, he will be much more confident. Yeah, and the way I see it, what become is that the project definition of an AI project, which when we worked, it started from a business problem understanding to the deployment of the model. It now has to go one or two steps further, which is deployment, post-production support, providing the adoption guidance and value quantification and explainability. You have to add these pieces also in your project. Then only your project will be completed and the business value will be generated. And then only, as a consultant, we get the another new project from the same client. Or if you are an in-house team, we get a budget for another project or so. So you have to go beyond deployment,
Right.
beyond deployment and hypercare.
Right. Now a very interesting question, which is like buzzing the market after AI has come. That I mean, like countless layoffs and so on and so forth. So let's go a step back and let me ask you, like for example, when you were building CBIA, how like a couple of things, like what broke first? I mean, it's not a hunky-dory story from day one. You will be. I mean, all of us start with some point of failures, right? So that is one. And second is that how did you plan your resourcing, that you are not over resourced and then you don't have to lay off like others are doing in current times. So how do you calibrate the resourcing part of it, and how do you scale up in terms of team building so that best talent remains, and then as you started initially that people who are bargaining even before joining are the like red flags. So if you could throw some more light on that.
Sure. Peter, building a business, I believe, is a story of resilience. Okay. How resilient you are in the trying times actually defines whether the business will succeed or not. For us, you're right, there is no hunky-dory story. We started very small. We started picking up projects from the freelancing platforms like Elance, I forgot the name, and so where maybe we picked up $5,000 types of projects. Those were important for us because those were giving us exposure. If not enough money, it was giving us exposure, and uh, and then gradually we did a number of case studies, which also kind of help create our platform. And there are multiple failure stories over there because those are small clients, minimal budget. You really cannot do justice to a project with such minimal resources, and all stories were there. But then at least we are able to build our base from there. And we never had a lot of people, but we always had in one or twos. Okay. Then the other thing I believe, and I'm very proud of that, in SIBIA, we rarely hired a senior or, we call them the lateral resources. Most of our folks, I would say 90% of our folks, actually came with zero experience, but a huge level of enthusiasm and the right knowledge, right degree or right exposure to the technology. We had a model where we took them as interns, and in the next 2, 3, 4, 6 months time, they were absorbed in the company as a full-time employees. And I'm very proud to say that only those guys and later they became the backbone of SIBIA, right? Uh, and there are a few reasons for that. We may hire an intern, but we never treat them as one. We always told that your designation could be anything, but you are here uh, part of the project like any other. Okay, so I have seen that even an intern taking up a leadership role in a client communication. I have seen a very fresher who just joined, took up a project on her own and delivered single-handedly. Okay, then and then we kept adding. So we always experimented with young folks, and I'm happy to say we rarely gone wrong. I think 80% of the folk who came, people who came to us as interns, they actually, in say some who are very good, maybe established himself or herself in 2 months time. Some who took some time because they were adopting, maybe in 6 months time they become a full-time member of the team. But 80% of them actually been converted to a full-time member. Okay. Very few we had to ask them to go or they themselves as play because they are not fitting the bill. So I think our strategy was that catch them young, talented, enthusiastic people and groom them. And it was always been a peer grooming. So they themselves learn stuff. They check with their immediate seniors. They guide them, and you know we believed in learning swimming while in the water. We have very few training sessions or so, and maybe from the day one or in the first week itself, every intern will be put into a project. And maybe after a month, the intern will actually be given a project, part of the project to deliver on his or her own.
Okay.
So this is how we have built, and I'm very proud to see today. Like we probably in the process of building CBA, we have hired maybe 100 people. Some stayed, some moved on, and today, if I look at almost everybody has moved on, but they are now really leading their own in their own companies, own fields. Like they're very successful in their career. So one thing I always say that CBA alumni is a very powerful alumni.
Okay.
Uh, all good companies, and they are doing fantastic there. I am in touch with many of them till date. If I go to Bangalore, I go and meet them, many of them. So this way, I think it's like resource. I don't really like the word resource. Everybody is a human. I mean, we hire them because of their intellectual capability, not for their mechanical capability. So they are very intellectual persons. I have learned a lot from them. They have taught me Python. They have taught me how a new age AI would modeling or workflow would work, how a new age data pipeline to be built. They have taught me unstructured databases like MongoDB. So it was a mutual learning from each of them. And we build the team slowly. We never hired a lot of people that we have to let them go at some point of time. We added in ones and twos. And yeah, there were certain situations I think the toughest situation during was that COVID period, which is just about 6 years earlier, and which lasted for 1, 2 years for us. Initially, we really had a bad time when our products or the projects were kind of shutting down. It's because during that time we had a huge exposure on the Southeast Asia market, and the Southeast Asia market like Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, they were the majorly impacted. So we had difficult times, but I'm happy that we never asked anyone to go because we are not able to provide for them. We struggled. They also struggled. There was delays in salary and all this, but finally nobody really left, or we had to let them go, which is a happy moment for us. And yeah, but again, after the COVID, we really have seen a surge in our business because many of the Indian companies started, experimenting with AI and building AI as part of their business. So as they say, like when one door shuts, the other door open, that other another door opening. That time was a trying time for us, but we are happy that we never asked anybody to go.
Excellent. Angshuman, in the interest of time, I would rather be curious and jump on to what you're creating next, because that's the something that the audience would be looking at and the larger audience is waiting for. So, if you could throw some light on that.
No, sure, why not? See, as part of my acquisition, it was mandated to work for Adani for 3 years, but it is not. I was really happy working there, uh, uh, and I'm pretty happy to go beyond the 3 years and serve that very large company with so many things happening. I mean, it has been a very big eye opener. Uh, you can do so much inside a company. Is that how a company can take up so much and really deliver at scale, really deliver fast, which is a great learning for us, for all of us. And I would be very happy to carry on that work and build further. But I think that this entrepreneurship bug is in my mind, and it is kind of hitting me again. And I choose a I chosen to move on from this company and building something own again. Okay, again. Now, what I am building, to tell a story. See, in the last 20 years, I have built enough AI models for various businesses, almost all type of businesses. I can definitely in the CPG, FMCG, retail area, to some extent in the banking financial area, quite a number of years in the credit cards. I have seen probably many of the industries and built models. So building another new model is not really exciting me. But what really is exciting me these days is that how a model is adopted in a business or in a larger context. Okay. Uh, uh, and then how uh, in this world where we hear about a lot of AI related risks. Models are gone wrong. The chatbots are going rogue and going against this. So these are the areas where I believe is that we need to be more uh, cautious, and I want to help businesses navigating this path, how you can make your AI models more responsible, more explainable, and how you can observe your AI models, uh, and how you can ensure that you are delivering the right AI output to the society. So this is something I'm very intrigued of, and maybe this is something we will build over the time. But this is a very new area. We need to do a good amount of research before we really come up to this.
Excellent. So before we take the audience questions, a few rapid fire questions for you. So build, join, or wait. What should an entrepreneur or entrepreneurial mindset
Can
do?
you please repeat the question? I'm not sure.
Yeah, sure. Like for example, for students and aspiring founders,
Mhm.
basically, this is build, join, or wait. What should they do right now? I mean, it's all the AI buzz around.
Why should someone wait? I mean, you always can keep waiting in the technological world for the next wave. Every wave will come and go. If you're really serious, go and build.
Excellent. Three non-negotiable skills for an AI entrepreneur.
For anyone, I think attitude, how you see the world and how you react to the world. Second is persistency and resilience. how you can navigate the rough waters, how you can stay committed to a purpose. These two, to me, is the major important things. I seldom have valued someone who's a great coder, and just only that. I have
Okay,
huge respect for those tech guys, but in the entrepreneurship world or the startup world, if you are just a great coder, it's not enough.
excellent. One mistake to avoid.
Difficult to say, but I always believe that, you know, keep your resources under control. Divide your revenue projection by two, multiply your cost projections by two. That's the reality. If you think that you'll earn $1 million, you'll end up earning 500K. If you think that you'll spend 200K in building something, you'll end up building 400K. So all your projections are very good. They look very nice in Excel and PowerPoints. Divide your revenues by two, multiply your cost by two.
Okay, one habit to build.
Reading. Not only reading is cliche. I would say keeping abreast with what is going on in the world. Not only tech, business, your industry, I mean your market where you work. When I work for retail and FMCG, etc., I'm very intrigued in advertising, because I'm not working directly in advertising, but I'm working for advertising and marketing. What is happening in that world? What is happening in retail? What's happening in consumer products?
Mhm.
What's happening in tech? What's happening in regulations?
Okay,
Keep your
and
mind
last.
open and learn as much. Reading, podcast, YouTube's, Audible, everything.
Okay, and the last one. One belief about startups that need to be challenged.
Is that product is king? Product is not king. Product is a servant.
Okay,
Business needs, personal needs are the king.
fantastic. Okay, now let me just take up the audience questions, starting with 𝗂𝗶. Most people tend to view starting a business or entrepreneurial venture as something to pursue after retirement, yet they still expect it to generate quick and substantial returns. Is there an ideal inflection point to begin this journey? Because by the time one starts post-retirement, the so-called golden years may have already passed. What would be your advice on the right timing to take up the entrepreneurial leap?
No, I don't know whether 𝗂𝗶 is pointing these questions to me when I said that I want to start at this age. Of course, I'm not close to retirement, but quite senior, I guess. Like, after studies, spent about 25, 26 years in the industry. Uh, See, I don't think really age is defining anything in this world. Uh, People can start anytime. And of course, there are certain positives when people start young out of college, but there is also a lot of value of experience. If you are mentally agile, physically fit, and another good thing happens when you are retiring, you are almost taken care of many of your family and etc. liabilities, right? You are kind of either you have done it or not done, nothing much to be done during that time. So this gives you a kind of a freedom. So probably that's also a good thing. But again, just because you retired and you are aged, you cannot expect that the thing will turn quickly for you.
Okay, good one. Abhishek has asked, please give insight about AI impact in product management, product manager jobs. AI will leverage product management or will it automate it? Please share your insight. AI will
See,
leverage.
this is something I am also kind of seriously thinking about. A project or product management job, uh, to a lot of extent, it would be automated, and I'm happy that it is automated. Okay, but at the same time, I believe a product is a living being, and it requires the human emotions, empathy, and everything. So that is where a product or project manager's role would be there. But I think a lot of task a project manager does, uh, would be definitely automated, like everyday timesheet checking, comparing the time invested with the feature release, and all such menial work would be automated, and automated for good. I would expect the project manager to focus more on what the project product is delivering, talk more with the clients or users, or talk more with the developers, understand the market, and all this, rather than doing the menial task. So if it will be automated to a great extent, a lot of tasks will be automated, and automated for good. That's my take.
Okay, Angshuman, one
Okay.
minute.
And the last
One
one from
minute. Just
Mahashik.
another one small follow-up question with Angshuman. Angshuman, that is for the project manager, the timesheet checkup, timesheet fill up, how much actual real work delivered, that is okay. For product manager, particularly for the product manager, the understanding the market insight, understanding the customer empathy, or human intelligence will require. Like, let's
Others.
consider the city flow bus recently launched into the Calcutta. Uber shuttle dropped. So all these market insight analysis, customer empathy. Okay. So all these instances, okay, human empathy or human intelligence will come into the picture. Anshumanda? Sorry. Yeah, Anshumanda. Am I audible, Pritamda?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Right. See, the point is, like understanding the customer, go in the market and see what is there and what is not there. Understand your service providers. So this will be always be there, right? And that is what the product manager should spend more time on. I mean, did I miss anything on this question?
I think Abhishek, is your query resolved, or Abhishek, I think, has dropped off. Great insights. How would you suggest an SMB entrepreneur in the making approach riding on the AI advantage?
Sorry, I can you just repeat, or let me check the chat.
Yeah, sure. How would you
The
suggest?
making approach riding. Okay, great question, and I always love to discuss about this. See, be it a tech founder or a non-tech founder, uh, you should consider AI as your companion, like a co-builder with you. A lot of research can be done through AI. Lot of contents can be created through AI. Lot of market insights can be generated through AI, which otherwise I would have spent a lot of time. You should do your research uh, on regulations, research on certain legalities of whatever business you are in, uh, and maybe you are serving to a remote market, a distant market. You can also check that. I mean, do this through AI. I mean, when I am planning for my new business, or maybe will be planning, I spend a lot of time using multiple AI tools to do the market research, to understand. And AI is also a great tutor. I am, as part of being in the industry, you stopped after being some many years or some years, you stopped being a techie, hands-on techie on its own. But whenever I'm building something, I need to understand the tech. So I took that opportunity of AI to learn a lot of new things. How a transformer works, how an encoder works, how very simple things like a markdown file is created or data indexing happens. This I all learned through AI. So I use number one as my tutor on the things I do not know. I use AI for my understanding of the market. I use AI for any other research. Then I'm not doing, but I'm sure a lot of people are doing, is that I use AI for my content generation. So these are the few use cases, but I'm sure, Mahashata, in your business, you will find out many other ways how you can do that. These days, we even analyze our bank statement through AI. download an Excel file and give it to you, and it will categorize all your thing, all your heads, expenses or incomes into nice, you will create a first level accounting for you.
Okay, Angshuman, another Angshuman, he's from overseas. So he has asked what a trade-off you had to make while building your AI venture that no one wants founders about, something that looked small at the time but fundamentally shaped the company's trajectory.
Great question again. I believe the first, since I worked always for the US clients and I know a lot of people there, I kind of assumed that my business, I'll get a lot of business from US, right? And I was quite certain on that. But when I really started going to the market, I saw that it's not that easy. Okay. And initial ideas that we can serve a client from here, not traveling to the US, was also not true. So that was a trade-off I had to make, that when almost all through my life I worked for US clients, and suddenly that door stopped. And US clients, we all know that they are great at, the value of projects are good, they are very mature clients and all this. We suddenly had to kind of transition ourselves to the Indian clients. Again, market I had very limited exposure to. So I had to build the whole Indian market on my own. And the project, the maturity was not there, payments were not good and all this. So that's a major trade-off I had to do in my life.
Thank you, Angshuman.
And yeah, finally it shaped our trajectory. We became an India-focused AI platform company.
Thank you. Thank you, Angshuman. So any other questions from anyone? Okay, we have just crossed the time box. So today's session with Angshuman Bhattacharya was excellent, and thank you so much, Angshuman, for your insights. It will, of course, help others to learn from how to build and what not to build, or rather how to scale up. Thank you, AI Agile Synergy, for this platform, and hopefully we will have many more meaningful conversations in future. Thank you, everyone.
Great chatting with you, and thanks for all the person who came on a Sunday morning to listen. Thanks Subhabrata and Shubhra for organizing this, and best wishes for your next episodes. I'll be keen to learn more and hear and go to those sessions.
Thank you so much.